Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Good to see everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, talk about what you have for this week as well as next week's stuff that unlocked. So for geometry, for this week, we were looking at 5.2 bisectors and triangles. Not a huge stretch to what we looked at in 5.1. You're basically dealing with two different types of bisectors, right? So if you haven't had an opportunity to get started on this, make sure you use the next 40 minutes after we dismiss here in a little bit to either stay back with me and ask questions, get clarification, or go and get started watching video tutorials or whatever you got planned. So we got the interactive textbook with the pages that we're on and all that kind of stuff. The practice problems that I really want you to be doing each week. Make sure you're actually doing these practice problems. It's really important to be able to, once you can do these problems, then you're set up for success for the review and then ultimately the test. The extra practice problems, if you just, maybe you did a couple problems and you want some extra practice and you didn't feel super comfortable with it, you can look in that section. The two assignments that are due Sunday night by 11:59 p.m., the vocab and concepts and the check-in are there. Just make sure for the vocab and concepts you have your book out, right? All that information is coming straight from your book. The solutions manual. So when you're doing these practice problems for geometry, it hasn't been that much lately. I think, somewhere around 10 problems, 8 to 12 problems each week, which hasn't been that bad. Algebra sometimes gets like 20 or 24 or something like that. So, but just while you're doing these practice problems, make sure you have that solutions manual out. So that way you can just make sure your steps are correct, your answers are correct, things like that. The video tutorial, so just like if you were coming to class, right, and you watched me teach a lesson, that's exactly what this is. I went into YouTube yesterday to fix a problem with an Algebra 2 video, and I'm just noticing not a lot of people are accessing these videos, which is fine if you're learning this material on your own, but make sure if you're struggling with this, you're not doing well, you're not understanding things, this is your first step, this video tutorial. Make sure you open that up and watch that from beginning to end, just to kind of understand the concepts. Because again, like I've talked about, that's me introducing the lesson, going through all the vocab, which for you all, for the last couple weeks and as well as next week, vocab is really heavy. You're seeing vocabulary words that you've never seen before, like especially, next week. I recorded the video the other day. So, in Algebra 2, you'll see vocab words that you've probably heard for the last few years or so, but geometry is its own kind of branch of math. So if you need any clarification with those vocab words or the example problems or any of these practice problems, make sure you're watching that video tutorial. And then for next week, the stuff that unlocked is 5.3, medians and altitudes. Still dealing with triangles. Medians and altitudes are just two different things that you can create using a triangle. But just like everything else that we talked about, interactive textbook, practice problems, make sure you're doing those. Vocab and concepts in the check-in, those are unlocked and ready for you, but they're due Sunday, March 7th. So you got about a week and a half or so for that. And then, of course, the solutions manual and the video tutorial there for you. Is it a stretch to say that you can just open the book up and learn the material yourself? No. Some people have go-to YouTube people that they go and watch. I know I did when I was in college, and I didn't really put a lot of effort in high school. So I didn't do a lot of work in high school. But in college, I had go-to YouTube people that I would always go to and search, how to graph a line or how to do this, right? If that's you, great. Just make sure you're doing something to learn the material. Because I think after 5.4, we've got one more lesson and then the test. So just so you know, the test is coming up in a few weeks. Make sure you're staying on top of this stuff and you're learning it. All right. I'm going to let the late people in. Feel free to unmute yourself to ask me a question. All right. I think everybody's in now. I don't see anything in the chat box. Nobody's unmuting. So what I'm going to do is hang back. You've got 40 minutes to continue working on math. Make sure you're dedicating that time to math and processing the material and completing the work. If you want to hang back with me, great. I'm here with you for the next 40 minutes. If you need me, just hang back and we'll talk. Hope everybody has a great weekend and we'll see you next Monday. Bye. Bye, Jacoby, you too. Bye, Nevaeh. Thanks. All right, I'm ready for questions. Whoever's got something, I'll watch the chat box.